So this is those, as I'm doing my fingerstyle arrangements, those are the kinds of things I'm thinking about. In the first one, when I moved to a low octave, I had to change where my bass note was going to be, and it would still work. Now I'm adding a drone, but I'm having to drop the drone when there's too much going on. I have to move my hands to get to the second place. Start over from the beginning? Okay. All right. Let me do that. And then you can edit in the mix, right? Hi, this is Steve Yulberg for JamPlay, and thanks for joining us in this live session today, All at Once Fingerstyle, where we are building fingerstyle arrangements, melodic fingerstyle arrangements by adding things. So what we did last week was take Paw Paw Patch and add a melody and add bass notes to it. And learn the melody, learn the bass, learn how to take a piece that looks too complicated and separate the parts. Now this time what we're doing, and record a bass line recording so you have some way of measuring your progress later. Do it when you're first trying, and then come back and don't worry about the quality, just do it. Then come back after you've tried it for a while and compare how you're doing it now with where you started, because we all need that way of helping ourselves accurately assess where we are. And we often forget how hard it was at the beginning when we're frustrated with where we are now. So now this week what we're doing is taking the familiar Frere Jacques tune, the nursery rhyme. These are great because we've known them for so long. We're not learning two things, we're just learning one. And this is one of those that I like because the first phrase, you duplicate it. The second phrase, you duplicate it. The third phrase, you duplicate it. The fourth phrase, you duplicate it. So it's 8 bars of music, but you only have to learn 4 things. Now that's a great teaching tool. It's a great thing for building confidence as well. You get a second shot at whatever it was. Now, we're playing in the key of G. This gives us the opportunity to play this melody in 2 different octaves and still stay in the first position, which is why I like to use this one and use this. Okay, that sounds good, Jeff. Thanks. So, the melody, I'm in my home position. Frere Jacques, Frere Jacques, dormez-vous, son et la matina, son et la matina, din din dong, din din dong. Now, everything got to stay in its home position to play in this first octave. And we have a question about where to position your pinky finger because it hurts. Oh, that's not good. What I'm doing with my pinky, if I have it down at all, it's just lightly resting on the edge of the pick guard by the sound hole. So I'm going to take my finger away. You can see where everything else is. If I'm resting at all, that's where it is. I'm not pushing hard, I'm just resting it there. The other thing is, sorry, I'm moving out of the camera frame, trying to keep in there. Is that because I'm using the strap on this side that's holding the guitar to my body, I don't have to use this hand for any weight of the neck. And my arm resting on this side of the guitar means it's in a good position and my hand can be hanging in a good position. I just sometimes drop my pinky there as a resting place. So the guitar is stable. I'm not using this hand at all or this hand at all to hold the guitar. It's happening with my strap, and right now because I'm sitting level, my legs are the bottom part. So I've got a 4-point thing that's holding the guitar in, and now I can just let my fingers play. Okay, so that was the A part, was in, I call it the middle octave because we can always play this up an octave. We're not going to do that today, but we're going to stay in the first home position in the first 3 frets actually. Now let's do B section where we move to the bass string. Now I did that all with my thumb, playing every bit of the melody. It's in its home position. What I did differently here is I used hammer-ons. They're not written in the music. I could pluck them. That's a lot of fast work for my thumb. Not a bad thing to work on. From the D to the E is a hammer-on. Hammer-ons are always going from something to something open or something lower to something higher. The difference here is this is an open hammer-on. I'm plucking the D and just hammering on for the C with no extra pluck. Now here's the workaround of what's happening. When I played the melody in its home position, I went G, D, G, G, D, G. Now I'm here, G, D. I don't have a string down there. If I had a 7-string guitar, I would have that note, and I would love playing it. G, D, G, G, D, G. If you ever saw Somewhere Over the Rainbow, The Wizard of Oz, whoa, 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 whoa. When they're at the witch's castle and the guards are walking around singing, that's the interval they're singing. Whoa, 1, 5, 1, do, so, do, do, so, do, do, so, do. It's the same relative pitch to the tonic or to home. It's the same note name, it's a different register. And this is one of those workarounds as you're working out your arrangements. You might be so used to the melody does this, but I ran out of notes. But I have to jump up an octave to pick up that pitch. Let's do the B section one more time. All right. Now, if you have any questions about that, go ahead and ask them, but I'm going to plow on ahead into the third section, C, the bottom of page 1 of the tablature here. What we're doing is adding a lower drone to everything we're doing with the melody. The melody is going to happen in the middle octave like it did before, but we're answering with a drone on the D string. So my fingers are going to stay in the home position. There are 2 adjustments that are going to happen in this particular arrangement. Now, could you see what happened? All the melody are quarter notes. My drone is the answering bit. So the drone is always on the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And so the melody is not going, the music is not happening faster than it was before. It sounds a lot busier because we're filling in all the spaces. Now, because I filled in the spaces with those 8th notes right there, I didn't have time to put a drone in between each one. The drone is in the service of the melody, so I did not try to shoehorn it in there. I just dropped it out and put it back in when we needed it. And then that's the first adaptation. I made sure that my drone would not mess up me playing the melody and dropped it out when it wasn't necessary. And then I need to move. I could do some. But what I'm choosing to do instead is move my out of home position just for this. And that lets me get used to moving out of home position, which is a skill we need to be able to develop. And anytime I can use 2 fingers to do something like that, it's generally going to help my timing better than if I try to have 1 finger do it all. And if you've tried to play a whole lot of intricate things with 1 finger, excuse me, or 1 thumb, you know what I'm talking about. Let's go through the whole thing. The other thing I want to call attention to is when you're adding a drone, we're repeating a note, and it's very tempting to have the repeated note be louder because we're in the same place and feel confident about it than the melody note. We don't want that. So we want to make sure that we're letting the melody ring out louder and the drone is just barely being heard as a reminder. So this is C at the bottom of the page. Let's play it together. I'll go a little slower. I'm going to count in 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Although I'll be on the right note this time. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Okay, now is there any questions about that or any insights you're having as you play that kind of a way of using the answering drone? If you have any, feel free to type them in so that we can address them. The D section at the top of page 2 has the same idea, but now our drone is above. We're still answering the drone on the D string. Twenty-three and 4. That's where I didn't tell you the fingers. I'm using thumb and first for everything in those 2 measures. That's where I'm moving out of home position. So thank you for having me clarify that. That's what's going on. So 1 thumb, 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 1. I'm alternating back and forth. Is what helps keep my timing more steady than if I would make the thumb do both parts. Now a similar thing is happening in section D. Let me play through it again for you. I'm answering with I've moved out of home position for this one. So, and this is bar 25. My thumb is gonna play the melody and the answering is gonna be with my first finger. Okay, so Blueser, you moved yourself over so that everything was being used by more than 1 finger. If that's what works for you, go for it. I was just using 2. Now, what I said was similar in the D section is that I need to get out of the way. So to begin with, I'm still using the thumb and a finger for this. Okay, you're used to the Piedmont Blues where you move over. I'll get to your question about Guitar Pro after we get done with this section here. So I moved over to get out of the way. It would be possible to It's not written here anywhere on this paper, but I could use the low G drone as a drone instead of the D. So what I'm introducing is the concept of adding a drone as a piece of how you work through to discover your arrangement that you want to play, and that can give you more ideas of what you could do. And in that case, I would leave my thumb down here and not be in the middle of it. And the same way, in this case, what I did is I let my drone be the high D instead of the D, and when it came time for my finger was already there doing the drone. So where you choose your drone is going to make some of these questions be easier or harder a little bit. You need a little bit of place for some strategizing. So that's adding a simple drone, playing the tune in 2 octaves, having a workaround to finish the melody note in the first time through. Second time through, well, first time through is just straight. Second time through, having that workaround for the melody note. The third time through, making sure that when I add a drone, I don't mess up the timing of the tune, and moving out of home position, moving 2 fingers or moving the whole hand. Now let's look at E. This is the fugue. That's the middle part. Or we're playing in the middle octave starts the fugue. A fugue is when you have a piece of music that is the same, but you play it with 2 different voices, and one starts and the other one starts later and follows it. It's really fun. Let me try again. Let's do it again. Add the melody in the fugue at the bottom part. Now, I've tried to do this where I have one melody going in my head and the other one coming in later. For me, the only way this works is if I see it as a straight up and down thing where both are doing something at the exact same time. Your mileage may vary. This concept was first introduced to me in a collection of classical music that I was playing, and I was like, oh, this could be very interesting. And they just gave this first one, this particular one right here. Let's try it together. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and Frere Jacques, Frere Jacques, dormez-vous, sonne la mattina, sonne la mattina, Jacques, Frere Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sonne la mattina, sonne la mattina, din dan dong, din dan dong. So we have two voices happening with a lot of contrary movement. It's a test for the brain, it's a test for the fingers, it's a test for the fingers. And this gets us into some really fun territory, I think. So it may be that the first parts were easy and this is the one where you're going to have to do a little woodshedding, but that's okay. Now, the question that was asked, how does Guitar Pro help in learning and any negatives? I don't think I see any negatives with if what you're talking about is whether or not you should get Guitar Pro. I don't think I see any negatives with that. I mean, there is going to be some cash outlay to get Guitar Pro. But I don't know the answer to this. When I got Guitar Pro, JamPlay had a coupon that helped me say, yeah, I'm going to try this. So I don't know if that's still a live coupon or not. And the folks in the office can answer that. But what I like about Guitar Pro is I can have it played back. I can choose the speed that it's played back. When I open a Guitar Pro file, there'll be a scrolling bar that'll tell me where we are if I ever get lost. So I have the visual and I can go along with it. The static page, the PDFs, is the way I'm used to doing things more often. And then it's just me and the page. And so what I like about Guitar Pro is that it lets me listen to what's going on. I also like being able to create in it. I've been learning how to do that. I come at everything from a notation standpoint first and translate to tablature. Guitar Pro starts with tablature and translates it to notation. And for people who don't know the notation above, this is a perfect tool for figuring out what is it that I'm doing. I've got this really cool... I don't even know what this is. What is it? But I could put all that stuff in there in the tablature. Here's the fret numbers. Here's what I'm doing. Here's in what order I'm doing it. There we go. The coupon is up. But that's so I don't see any negatives. I see only positives. It's been a useful tool for me, and I'm glad that Jeff pushed me in that direction. Come on, man. My primary way of doing notation is with Finale, and the tablature function is different in Finale. But, you know, most dogs know where they hunt. And I started with Finale in 1989, which is the year it came out. So let's go back to the music, page 2 we still need. We're going to play parallel octaves this time. So we're playing the same melody in 2 different octaves at the same time, which means it's not so hard for this hand. It means some fancy moving around in this hand, but not too fancy. So this is at F at the bottom of the page. So here's the melody. Remember to put my finger back down. Frere Jacques, Frere Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sonne la mattina, sonne la mattina, ding dang dong, ding dang dong. So if I look at this and think, oh, I've got to do all these things, look at the first measure, measure 43. I can keep, I don't need anything on the B string. I can keep my third finger down the whole time. And I can... the only thing that's happening is something's changing on the second fret of the G string or the A string. Now I'm changing on the, here's where it gets tricky. I have to put two fingers down at the same time, but that's the B's, the C's, like I would a C chord. And then I need some finger to play on the third fret of the B string. I'm using my pinky because I'm going to want it there for the next part. As I play this, I don't need to put anything down. I can just leave it there. Now I have to lift it up when I do the C's again. When I go slower, like everything else, because I've got it in muscle memory, this is the woodshed where you have to spend some time with it. It sounds really cool. Trying to think, I think I do that with hammer-ons. Yep. I'm plucking the high E. Pluck, pluck. So after playing the middle melody, or the melody in the middle octave, then the low octave, and then droning in the middle with a low D, and then playing the melody in the low octave and droning with a high D, and now playing the fugue and playing in parallel octaves. We've got one more that we want to take a look at, and this one is on page 3. And this is where the lower octave starts the fugue first. Low octave starts, second one starts and comes in with it. I'm looking up here and looking down at my paper. I think my paper's better because it's a little tiny on the screen. Frere Jacques, Frere Jacques, Frere, Frere Jacques, Frere Jacques, dormez-vous, dormez-vous, sana la mattina, ding ding dong, ding ding dong. we have simple melody and 4 variations. So we have 5 variations, because we have the melody, and then we move it to another octave, then we drone once, drone twice, fugue in the middle, parallel octaves, and then fugue with the low octave first. We have a lot of resources here. This could be a performance piece. It could be an etude, which is a study piece. Is there a tablature move that's funny? In 53. Oh, you're right. It should. Good eye. I found and fixed some of those, but I missed that one. Thank you. You get the candy. Here, catch it. Open your mouth. So what I encourage you to do is try each one of these. Some of them are going to be easier than others. Try to play through the whole thing at a steady pace, though. Try not to speed through the ones that feel easier. The whole thing will feel better if you play it at the same tempo. It can be a piece of one thing. So that's what I suggest you do. And like I said last time, record yourself so you get a baseline recording of where you are right now. And you're welcome. I'm glad I picked the kind you like. And then have that as a record for you to go back to. The only thing is the tab choice. So I was playing an open D instead of the 5. I'm keeping this all in the first 3 frets. So that's the only thing different. So that is your assignment. Don't forget to keep working on Paw Paw Patch from last week. And after doing this, Paw Paw Patch might feel a lot easier. But let me ask if you have any questions for today. Excellent. Yeah, by sound, nothing was different. It was just where am I finding the note? You're welcome, Sugary. Thanks for being here, and thanks for putting up with the confusion. We have a side conversation panel that is sending me questions that is not working today. So I don't know exactly what happened there. So, but I trust it was fine yesterday. I trust it'll be fine for the class that happens next week. So yes, this is all recorded. So it's a many-week class, and each session is recorded and available, so you can watch the archive when it's up and ready. So welcome, Spike Dog. Have fun with that. And thanks, Jeff and Phil and Chris and Jason and everybody who was scrambling around in the back. Next week, we'll take a look at the adding chords to a melody. But right now, playing these 2 melodic lines with each other is going to be enough. So have some fun with that.